Hey friends, thank you so much for being here today. My name is Denise. I'm also known as heywigsister on Instagram and Facebook. I typically do wig and hair loss related content, but today we're going to talk about weight loss. I've lost 76 pounds in the past 3 years. Much of that was lost this year, and I can't count the number of times you guys have asked me to share how I've lost all this weight. Today, I'm going to share that with you. And it's something that you can do for free. It does not require drugs. It does not require supplements. It does not require memberships to something. All the information is available to you for free, and I will share with you what I've used to help me on this journey. If you want to know more, then stay tuned. Videos like these are hard to make and keep interesting and keep people's attention. So here's my recommendation, because I'm not an editing queen. I'm not going to be able to do all kinds of jump cuts and camera angle changes to make this really interesting. So if you struggle to sit and watch a video where someone's talking at you, I recommend you just listen to the audio part of this and do your thing around the house. Do some dishes, do whatever you have to do, fold some laundry. I think this topic is so incredibly important. I really want you to get what I have to say here. So find a way that you can pay attention to this video, because it's been life changing for me. I am not being hyperbolic. It truly has changed my entire life following the keto diet. Now let me give a little history for those of you who maybe don't know me. A lot of my followers come to my videos because I do wig reviews. This is a wig. I suffer from hair loss. I have forever. Since I was in my 20s, and I'm 52 right now. And so some of you know my story because I've shared it, but let me just share it to get you guys on the same page with me and why you should listen to me about this diet. No, I'm not an expert. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a regular person who has struggled with health issues since I was 2 years old. I was diagnosed with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis when I was 2. And I've struggled my whole life with arthritis flares from having had juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. In my mid-20s, I was diagnosed with Graves' disease. That's an autoimmune thyroid disease that causes hyperthyroidism. And I fought that for a long, long time. In my early 30s, my Graves' disease morphed into Hashimoto's disease. And that is what I live with to this day, Hashimoto's disease. That's a hypothyroid autoimmune disease, and it's rare for people to have both. In the past 5 years, my health has deteriorated to the point where I had to quit a job that I had been at for 10 years because the stress of the job, I couldn't function. I have had incredible joint issues to the point where there are some days I could barely get out of bed. I couldn't even walk. A year ago, I couldn't even walk 2 blocks. My joint issues were so severe. And so one of the benefits of the keto diet, aside from the weight loss, which for me is 76 pounds to date, is health improvement, inflammation decrease, to the point where I am practically unrecognizable. I will try to put a picture in here somewhere or tack it on the end so you can see the difference in my face. The swelling, the roundness, it is crazy how inflamed I was and how sick and miserable I was. So you get the point. Miserable, chronic joint and muscle pain to the point where I was practically disabled. I could barely do anything physical. I didn't do anything physical that I was invited to. I missed field trips with my kids. If there was going to be walking or anything physical, it was absolutely awful. And I was devastated by the condition of my body. So let's talk about weight, because a lot of you are here because of the weight. But I really want to impress upon you that the keto diet is going to help much more than just weight for many of us. For me, for sure. So in August of 2020, my highest weight that I've ever hit, it was 244 pounds. I am 5'9", so I'm not short, but that's a lot of weight to carry on any female body. 244 pounds, August of 2020. I left my 10-year job at the end of January 2021, and between August in January, I managed to lose about 7 pounds. So I weighed 237 pounds, January 30th, 2021, and I left my job. So in 2021, from January 2021 to January 2022, I lost 25 pounds by just making some basic lifestyle changes. Leaving a stressful job was huge. I was home at that point. I went back to work only part-time from home in October of that year. So for the course of that year, I was home. We moved. So I was packing up one house and unpacking in another house, which was a nightmare for how sick I was. So I was moving my body a little bit, but I was not exercising, and I followed no specific diet. I think I did the Whole30 once. If you're not familiar with the Whole30, look that up. There's lots of information on it. It's 30 days of basically an elimination diet. And other than that, I did nothing special but try not to eat super unhealthy. Lost 25 pounds between January of 2022 and January of 2023. I lost 2 pounds. Yes, 2 pounds. I was at 212 pounds in January of 2023. This year, I'm filming this on September 30th, 2023. All right. At that point, I couldn't live like this anymore. I was barely functioning. I was struggling with day-to-day activities, filming videos, doing my part-time job. It was awful. And I decided I needed to do something with my diet, that it was diet that was going to fix this for me. And I decided to do more of an elimination diet. And that's when I started to do tons of research on keto and carnivore. And that brings us to the resources. If you're still here, God bless you. I'm sorry, but I felt that was important context if you don't know who I am. Now, I did not think keto was going to work for me. I tried every diet under the sun except for keto and Atkins and things like that. But I thought it was an unhealthy diet that wasn't going to help me. And there's so many naysayers about this way of eating that I was buying into some of it. But you guys, you know what? You get to a point where you're willing to do just about anything to feel better. The one thing I wasn't willing to do was take drugs. I have made the conscious choice over the years to try to do things as naturally as I can. The only prescription that I'm on currently is Synthroid for my thyroid. I was on methotrexate for 5 years for my arthritis, and I worked hard to try to get off that medication. I just don't want to put toxic things into my body. Even if they have a benefit, there's always a consequence. And so I wasn't willing to take diet pills or take drugs or anything. I was going to do this in a sustainable way that didn't require money, prescriptions, any of those things. And so I decided to give keto a try. But the reason I made that decision is thanks to Dr. Annette Bosworth. Now, I don't have the book that convinced me. I listened to that book on Audible. It is called Any Way You Can. I will link it below. If you are skeptical about this at all, please do me a favor. Do yourself a favor and read or listen to that book. I find listening to books on Audible a way that I can ensure that I will actually get through the whole book. I just don't have a lot of time to sit and read, and so I will listen to Audible when I'm doing dishes, when I'm cooking dinner, when I'm folding laundry. You know, I'll put earbuds in while I'm vacuuming, and so I listen to it on Audible, and that book is absolutely incredible. It's the story of how she used keto, which she calls keto chemistry, to help her mom while she was battling cancer. It's amazing, and it's convinced me that if I ever get diagnosed with cancer, I'm attacking it with very strict keto, more strict than I've ever done. It's just a really, really good book, and she's a medical doctor who didn't believe in keto either until she was forced to do something dramatic and drastic to help her mom. It's a great read. I highly recommend it. So I listened to Any Way You Can, and then I got this book right here, Keto Continuum. I originally listened to it on Audible. So this book has barely been cracked. I actually just bought it so I could have a hard copy because it is so incredibly valuable and packed full of information and data and science. It's really, really good. If you are convinced that keto is good and that it will work, you're just not sure if you can do it or how to do it, you can skip any way you can and go straight to this book. I just think that's such a wonderful, heartwarming story. So it's worth the read, but if you don't need convincing, go straight to this. She also has a workbook, the Keto Continuum workbook. And for those of you who do well with step-by-step guidance, who like to follow like a plan and fill in information, and you know, basically the Keto Continuum is a step process. Keto Continuum 1 is, you know, you just start out. It was amazing how it steps you through. Then you go to Keto Continuum 2. Once you've mastered that for a few weeks, you go to Keto Continuum 3, and so on and so forth. Here is how I did it. When I started keto, I was still listening to this book. So I haven't really followed the continuum steps in order exactly as they're written. I am about to start doing that because I've stalled both in my weight loss, but also in my health improvement. And I'll explain that in just a moment. The other thing that I haven't done well with yet, and again, I've got this book and I'll start following it, is getting my body into ketosis consistently. Dr. Bosworth very much believes that you need to measure your ketones to know that you're in ketosis and to follow the plan as it is best laid out for your best outcomes. And I don't deny that, but I'm not great about continuous follow through. So I started out with the P strips. That's what she recommends. These are ketone strips. She calls them P strips, or I forget what she calls them, but and you basically put them in your stream when you're going to the bathroom, and then you match the color on the strip with this chart to see if you're producing ketones. I never got beyond small levels of ketones. I graduated from the P strips to a monitor. So this is like a glucose monitor. This is by Keto Mojo. And I'll make sure everything's linked below. And so basically, if you're familiar with glucose monitors for checking your blood sugar, if you're type 2 diabetic or type 1 diabetic, that's basically what this is. But it has two sets of strips. One, this is for measuring your ketones. This is for measuring your blood glucose. I found this, and I find this super valuable, especially for the blood glucose. I am technically considered pre-diabetic based on my morning fasting blood glucose. It is always in the pre-diabetic range, even after all this weight loss, even after eating keto all this time, because I haven't followed it strictly and I really don't get into ketosis. I'm usually at a very low level of ketosis, even when I don't cheat. I find it very hard for my body to produce ketones. That's why I need to go back to basics with the Keto Continuum. But so far, what I've done has worked for me. I mean, I've lost, what did I say I'd lost this year? Did I even say what I've lost since I started with keto? I think I might not have gotten that far with it. When I started keto, I weighed 202 pounds. That's how much I weighed back in May when I started keto. Now, at the end of September, I weigh 168 pounds, I believe. I've lost 35 pounds, 167. I've lost 35 pounds in 4 months on keto, and I feel so much better. So what I've been doing is working for me, and here's your takeaway. Do the best that you can. If you can follow Dr. Boz's plan, do it. Measure your ketones. Try to get into consistent ketosis. For me, I struggled with that part of it. And as long as I was still improving, as long as the weight was still coming off, as long as my ankles weren't swollen at night, I had huge ankles every night forever because of my inflammation, then I was happy with my results. But I've reached a point now where my weight loss has stalled, which isn't that big of a deal. I am almost to the lowest weight I've ever been in my adult life. And I'm in a size medium clothing, in many cases, sometimes a large. And I feel really good about that. Now I want my health to be the main focus. I find that I'm starting to cheat a little bit on this. I'm making keto treats. I'm buying keto bars and keto snacks. I didn't do any of that for the first 3 months at all. I was very much keto, no special, funny desserts and things. I was very, very strict. But now I'm cheating and I'm finding my weight has stalled. But most importantly, my joint pain is increasing. Some nights my ankles are swollen. And I know it's because I'm introducing inflammatory foods that my body doesn't like. So here's the wrap up. Keto. Don't just write it off as a fad, as unhealthy, until you've really dug deep into real supportive information. Maybe it won't work for you. Maybe you're not willing to go this extreme. But if you're really suffering like I was, I think you should give it a try. You guys, it's changed my life. It's completely changed my life. I am a completely different person than I was a year ago. And it's all keto. It's nothing else. I have not added any pills or anything. As a matter of fact, I stopped taking all my vitamins when I started keto because I really wanted to see how it would work. So I don't right now, I'm not taking any supplements, no vitamins whatsoever. I just completely stopped it all. And it's a miracle. That's all I can say. It's a miracle. So give it a shot if you're struggling. If you want me to share more videos on this topic, if you want me to put together little tips and tricks of what's worked for me, let me know. There are lots of great videos out there. I'm going to link some resources below, not just the books, but some YouTube accounts. You guys, if you're struggling with autoimmune conditions and you have inflammation, an elimination diet is the best gift you can give yourself so that you can figure out what your body reacts negatively to. This summer, I started eating tons of tomatoes because I have a garden and I love garden fresh tomatoes. And I do think it's contributing to me not feeling great, unfortunately, but I'm going to go back to basics and really, really introduce new things carefully and slowly so that I can determine what I can eat and what I can't eat. You may be able to introduce back fruits and vegetables and things, but how do you know unless you strip away most of the food and then you test what works for you? Meat tends to be something that most people don't react to. That's a great baseline to go to and then start introducing. You don't have to do this alone. You don't have to fumble your way through. So look below for some resources if you're interested in giving this a try. Thanks for sitting here for this whole video. Let me know. Have you tried keto? What was your experience? Guys, it may not work for everybody. We have to find our own way, but isn't it wonderful in today's world that we can watch videos like this and we can learn from others and formulate our own plan? I wish you all the best if you do try it. And if you've got any tips or advice, please leave them below. I learn from you and so do others. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you in my next video.
Hey friends, thanks so much for watching. Here are a few videos I think you might enjoy. Go ahead and click on one and watch.